With Band in a Box 2021, we have lots of new features, 202 new reel tracks, and more. We get many of the ideas for the new features and new reel tracks from our users in places like our wishlist forums, support phone calls, trade shows, and more. In most cases, customers are not describing a new feature, they're describing a problem they have that they would like to have solved. If you're not familiar with Band in a Box, it's an auto accompaniment program for Windows or Mac and allows you to create amazing backing tracks over any chord progression in any key. Simply type in a chord progression, pick a style from literally thousands of available styles, set the tempo, and press play. And what you're hearing is reel tracks, which means it's real instruments played by real musicians, able to play over any progression you enter. And all the music you're hearing in this video was created this way. So without further ado, here are the 59 requests and problems that we've solved with the release of Band in a Box 2021. We've added 16 more tracks in Band in a Box 2021, which we call utility tracks, and they can be used for audio, MIDI, reel tracks. They're fully editable and can be copied from the style tracks to create songs with up to 23 tracks, combining Band in a Box style tracks mixed with your own recorded tracks. With the new utility tracks, you can generate reel tracks right to the utility track, and then edit as you like, selecting precise regions to regenerate to achieve a bar-by-bar generation of a reel track. Also with the utility tracks, you can now generate harmonies to your vocals on separate tracks, allowing you to customize them in the mixer as well as editing the audio tracks individually. Also with the utility tracks, you can copy or move reel tracks and reel drums to a utility track to shape the overall levels, remove sections, and add effects as needed. We now generate the notation for the individual harmonies, so you can view or print them out to use for sight singing, practicing, etc. You can now harmonize reel tracks such as guitar solos, solo horn parts, and more. You can generate multiple reel tracks on a single track. For example, if you had a rhythm guitar and wanted it to change to a soloist for an 8-bar section. We've introduced a feature which will change individual notes within polyphonic audio to match the current musical setting, either for the generated reel tracks or any audio track. The tracks in Band in a Box are now mixed in 32-bit float, which is higher precision than 24-bit, resulting in cleaner tracks with higher fidelity. And Band in a Box now matches the settings on your interface, so it allows you to record or playback in 16, 24, or 32-bit. We now enable the highest quality pitch, tempo, stretch, elastique modes to achieve the best possible results. There is now a setting for flat, dry, and center in the render dialog for individual tracks. So now when you render from Band in a Box, you're getting tracks that are basically exactly as they were originally recorded, with the added benefit that the render time is faster. Band in a Box now supports features in some CPUs that allow faster digital signal processing. This allows more tracks, more plugins, higher quality elastic stretching, etc. during playback without causing audio dropouts. There's now a chord sheet portrait mode, which has the added benefit of ensuring the mixer doesn't overlap the notation, audio, or chord sheet windows. Also in the mixer, we've added the ability to only show tracks in use, particularly handy with the new utility tracks. Select custom group of tracks to show, change panel heights using mouse scroll and a settings dialog. The various sliders can now be controlled using the mouse wheel, and track names can easily be changed by a double click on the track label. Also in the mixer, we've added the option to display in decibels rather than the 1 to 127 MIDI-centered values. With the plugins, there's now a simpler, more modern method for choosing plugins, with a list that can easily be filtered by typing text. And you can access this directly from the mixer instead of needing to go to the older style plugin window. For MIDI plugins, there are now several new options that allow things like reverb, volume, panning, and tone to be processed within the Band in a Box mixer rather than within the plugin itself. Since many plugins don't use a standardized volume method and many don't even have things like pan, reverb, and tone, this basically means that adjusting these values for MIDI tracks will now make them the same as adjusting reel tracks or other audio. And we've added support for Waves plugins with Band in a Box 2021. You can now edit MIDI on any track and audio on all tracks except the original style tracks. But the audio on those tracks can also be edited simply by copying or moving them to an empty utility track. And when adjusting audio on a track that has audio and MIDI notation, the MIDI is edited simultaneously so that it continues to be in sync with the audio for display purposes. There are new options for zooming in and out in the audio edit window. Zoom to the edit cursor instead of mouse pointer, and center screen to edit cursor when zooming. We've added new options to the audio chord wizard with a new settings dialog. This allows you to choose a specific chord set, such as triads versus sevenths, and specify if you want chords interpreted more than once per bar. It also has a setting to better interpret chords if the source is out of tune. And the audio chord wizard is now simply more accurate when analyzing chords. There's also an option to see a snapshot of the notes that the audio chord wizard found in its analysis of the audio, which can be viewed in notation or piano roll. There are new zoom buttons and mouse wheel shortcuts to quickly adjust the number of rows and columns on the chord sheet, something you previously had to control within a separate settings dialog. We've added the ability to copy and paste chord progressions between Band-in-a-Box and text editors, or even between Band-in-a-Box and the Band-in-a-Box DAW plugin. And you can even use more advanced methods to copy whole songs, including styles, titles, memos, and other metadata. And with this new method of pasting chords into Band-in-a-Box, this now opens Band-in-a-Box up to potentially having other programs be able to export chords which could be pasted into Band-in-a-Box. There are new options when copying tracks, with options for audio and/or MIDI, and with new options for real tracks and real drums. For those familiar with the K shortcut for copying chords within the chord sheet, there are new similar shortcuts, including IN. So for example, IN4 would insert 4 blank bars. And KK opens the actual dialogue, where there are new options here. And there are other similar shortcuts and combos. We've added controls over which instruments play in intros. For example, you can easily make an intro of drums and then add bass during the intro. And you can make other similar combos of various instruments from this dialog. From this intros dialog, as well as in song options, you can specify a custom count-in for the song, for example, drums playing fills. There are now much easier ways to set odd time signatures like 5/4 or 7/4 for a whole song or even a range of bars. You can now load MIDI files to multiple tracks and have independent control of the tracks. You can see how many events are on each channel by hovering over the channel and choose what types of events to include or exclude, including continuous controllers and pitch bend. We've added 7,000 more titles to the song titles database, including many requested by users. Now there are over 21,000. We've now added drum notation for all of the real drums, and MIDI styles too. And it's not just drum notation. This is MIDI data that you can export and play as MIDI data in your favorite DAW, or copy it to a utility track and play it in Band-in-a-Box. That way you can use your favorite MIDI drum plugin to play the tracks using your sampler. It's now easier to add additional part markers beyond the typical A/B for display purposes. There are new filters in the style picker for groove, including all even, 8ths or 16ths, and more. We've added settings for applying the no transpositions setting to specific tracks or globally. This is in addition to the previous setting, which was all tracks for current song. The medley feature now works better when combining stereo with mono reel tracks on the same track. We've expanded the feature browser with the 2021 release. This can be accessed with the menu item Help Feature Browser, or by using the hotkey / then return, which opens a dialog that lists hundreds of easy-to-search features, which include images and lists of associated hotkeys. The Style Picker now has an add-ons button that shows you all the styles, real tracks, etc. that are found or not found. There's also an info button that takes you to pgmusic.com for more information, including links to purchase and download the add-ons. In the Style Picker, we've added the descriptive names to the Style Picker column for sets like Loops with Style or the new Extra Pro Styles Pack. And in the text filter, if you type X Pro or you type Extra, you'll see any X Pro or Extra style sets you bought. Similarly, if you want to see the styles associated with Real Track Set 374, for example, type RT 374 in that filter and you'll see just that list. There are new menu items for File, Open Special, Open Favorite folders that first shows you a list of your recently used folders, and then you pick one, and it then shows an open dialog from that folder. There's also an item from the Song button to open the Song Picker in a favorite folder. There is a similar menu item for saving songs to a favorite folder. Hotkeys are available for these items and are shown on the menu items. If you have a MIDI keyboard connected to your computer, you can enter chords by playing them and enter them into the Band-in-a-Box chord sheet that way. If there is more than one name possible, for example G7 sus or D minor 7 over G, it shows you those various options and allows you to choose which one you want. For lyrics, we've added the display of the bar lyrics to the big lyrics window so that you can see any type of lyrics, and it also shows section text here as well. And also with lyrics, we've added a feature to convert note-based lyrics to bar-based lyrics, which are simpler to work with. We now have the option to show Scriabin colors for all tracks, not just the melody track. With Band in a Box 2020, we added new reel tracks specifically designed to be very effective for jazz, blues, and rhythm changes progressions. And now with Band in a Box 2021, we've given the same treatment to minor jazz blues. Of course, like all reel tracks, these can be used over any progression in any key, but work particularly well over minor blues progressions. There's a new set of slack key guitar styles featuring both rhythm styles and soloists. There are now new notation options for cut time and 2/4 time signatures. Cut time is when a song is played in 4/4, but notated in eighth notes so that it's readable. It's called cut time because it has the effect of cutting the bar into 2 bars. This can be done from the notation window time sig button, and you can choose cut time for any 4/4 style. We've added 12 new grunge guitar styles in Band in a Box 2021. There are 4 distinct grooves, each with multiple guitars playing the same groove, and these layered guitars are an important part of this distinctive sound. We've added 6 dulcimer styles to Band in a Box with reel track set 363, 60s coffeehouse guitar and dulcimer with Quinn Bachand. This set also features great 60s folk styles with authentic vintage acoustic guitars. We've added new reggae styles in reel track set 365. This includes bass, drums, percussion, and guitar, as well as reel tracks firsts, marimba, and steel drum. We've added a new set of swing and shuffle vocal reel tracks, which features 6-part background vocal arrangements, as well as vocal background soloing, also known as melisma. We've added new simple pop vibes, which are very useful for giving your pop country tune a smooth sheen. We've added 2 new sets of world music with drums, percussion, guitars, and basses. There are Partido Alto styles, Beguine and Cascara, and the requested Nanigo groove, which is a 6/8 groove with African origins. Many styles, such as Celtic reels and train beat country, can be thought of in terms of 16th note based at a slower tempo or 8th note based at a faster tempo, even though when you're listening they are exactly the same. For many of these 16th note based styles, we've now made new dedicated 8th note based versions of these, so they display in Band in a Box at twice the tempo even though they sound exactly the same. The reverse is also true of sambas, where previously we had many samba styles at fast tempos, but we've made versions of the same styles where they sound exactly the same, but the tempo is halved. And we have a few additional bonus questions and answers that we've added at the last minute as well. There are lots of new options for MIDI in Band in a Box 2021. We have new MIDI super tracks, as well as many new reel styles that utilize these MIDI super tracks. In addition to that, there are new Look Ma More MIDI styles that combine the old school MIDI style patterns with MIDI super tracks. For Mac, we added support for the latest Apple Silicon M1 and the latest OS 11, and it's backwards compatible on all OSs from the current Big Sur OS 11 back to Snow Leopard OS 10.6.8 inclusive on Intel and Silicon M1 Macs. For Windows, you can now have multiple plugin windows open at the same time. This is something we added to the Mac version in previous releases, but is new for Windows with Band in a Box 2021. We hope you enjoy the new features, reel tracks, and other content for Band in a Box 2021 for Mac and Windows. Thanks for watching and have fun!